morning po sa lahat. Welcome once again to Puwang. As you know, we have chosen the theme Puwang, dwelling in the gap, to emphasize the state where we are at. The pandemic crisis has put all of us in the same puwang, the same gap together. Young and old, rich and poor, frontliners or homebound, we share the same fears and doubts at the moment. And even if our settings are different, we know we have common questions and experiences that point us to a new world at the post-pandemic. Kapuwang, as you might know, is the root word of kapwa. Though kapwa literally means others or neighbors, for us po Filipinos, to be kapwa is to have a shared self, a shared identity with the other. It is being a kapuwang, being together, participating and partnering at the gap between uncertainty and hope, between death and life. Thus, this pandemic calls us evermore to be a Kapwa church. That's what we want to experience and to be. One that listens to people's stories and allows these stories to teach us to become a better church. Being at the puwang or threshold is an opportune time as well to dialogue and discern where we are being led as a church. It calls us to recreate life, to reinterpret faith out of the lessons at the puwang during this pandemic. Last week, we started reflecting on the challenges brought about by the pandemic, on the specific roles of the priests and laity, especially in the context of BECs. We had a lively exchange of stories, experiences, as well as questions. Many of us echoed how house churches have been reestablished and rediscovered through online masses and home liturgies. In the confines of our homes, we discovered new symbols and rituals that uplift the priesthood of the laity, but at the same time challenges the cultic role of the priest. It has also reasserted the role of BECs as a natural setting to address people's life issues and concerns. And in this way, it also challenges our priests evermore to be as close as possible on the ground to hear the real cries of people. We also discovered last week that in contrast to the impersonal, formalistic, and sometimes militaristic intervention of the government, provided by the government through services in this pandemic, the church experience at the grassroots offer healing and comfort that is more personal and intimate, despite the social distancing. But then, as we discover that, we also see how a church after the pandemic can be reconfigured in the peripheries. How it can take the image of a field hospital that is more flexible and takes life as a priority at all costs and allows the sacramentality of life to reinterpret prescribed pastoral guidelines and cultic criteria. So we are challenged at the gap, and yet it gives us a window to a new homeland where new life awaits all of us. So these are some of the reflections we've had last week, and we continue this dialogue and discernment today as we look into this theme of formation, faith, and life. Thank you. Our first speaker is Father Andy Ludi. Andy is a diocesan priest from the Apostolic Vicariate of Calapan, and he is presently the rector of the Major Seminary of San Agustin in Tagaytay. He teaches moral and pastoral theology as well at the Divine Word School of Theology. And even as he is busy with his work as rector and professor, he remains rooted in pastoral issues and concerns, especially in his home diocese, and is involved in many formation activities. Let's all now welcome Father Andy Moody.
Hello. Thank you, Joy, and hello, everyone. I hope and pray that you could see and listen to me. So once again, I'm Father Andy, getting in touch from Calapan City, Oriental Mindoro. So I want to thank Bukal Tipan for this privilege, being invited to this Kapwa communal and collective discernment during this challenging times brought about by the pandemic. So our topic is on formation, and I'd like to focus my sharing and reflection on the context of seminary formation, especially for future priests. I'd like to use as a springboard our beautiful gospel today as we commemorate the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So it's experience of losing and finding. You know, by the sisters and brothers, this was our very experience in the seminary, especially when we were holed up because of the lockdown starting last middle of March up to the end of May. So we lost a lot. Of course, all of us have lost a lot. The usual things of doing, the ease and the freedom, of course, the safety and security that all we had. But then this pandemic also led us to a lot of finding a lot of treasure. So when we speak of formation, well, basically, it is a process that has to be spirit led. So I think because of the pandemic, because of the loss, we gained primarily the discernment that we have to do, the discernment that is led by the Spirit. So that's the first thing that we did. The more we engage in prayer and discernment as a community, how we can really bring about formation given such a limited context. And to speak of formation, we also used the dynamics of accompaniment that is very important. However, the challenge of formation nowadays in terms of accompaniment is that we can no longer do it more in a face-to-face encounter, but we have to be more creative. And so, what we did was we tried to discern and be more creative. When speak of priestly formation, we have four aspects: the spiritual, the human, intellectual, and pastoral. Of course, all of these happen in the context of the community. So once again, in the spiritual aspect, the more we engage in prayer and discernment. In the human formation aspect, now we focus more on health and wellness. Especially, we strive to be more responsible for our own health and wellness because by doing so, it will also be for the good of each and every member of the community. So the challenge is to exercise more of what we call auto formation, the responsible use of freedom, and to really be responsible not just for oneself but for others. That's why there is more accompaniment intervention, especially in the area of psycho-emotional and even sexual aspects of formation, because we have to be more engaged with ourselves, the solitary engagement, because of the lessening of communal fellowship and activities. In the aspect of intellectual formation, it is quite challenging because there's a curtailment of the face-to-face classroom arrangement. And so as we have experienced in the past 2.5 months, we had to be more flexible. We have to engage in online learning. And the treasure that we found was each and every seminarian has to once again be responsible in reading, in doing research, and in coming up with outcomes-based projects that will be helpful, not just for themselves, not just to comply with requirements, but for the good of the church. And the last aspect is the apostolate, the pastoral formation, which is quite challenging. Of course, we had to stop with our immersion, with our exposure in different institutions and communities for the sake of health and safety. But then the challenge posed by the pandemic is how to have an apostolate as an inside experience, but for the outside, to continue with our stance of solidarity, especially with the poor and the needy. So what we did was we tried to be more creative. For example, inside the seminary, we had engaged in household chores, the simple gardening, the simple opus manuale that are meant to be more self-sufficient financially. At the same time, what we produce, we also share with the needy. So we may be inside, locked up in the seminary, but our minds and hearts have to be thinking and sympathizing, empathizing with the people outside. So all our projects, all our undertakings were intended to be of help to the parishes. Of course, most of our seminarians are millennials or post-millennials. They are digital natives. So they were able to make use of their expertise in terms of social communications, in terms of online social evangelization. And they were very effective. Most of them, in fact, did a blog, have their initiatives in use of Facebook, Twitter, in order to evangelize. So that was the treasure that we have found when we lost this capacity to be more immersed physically, but our hearts and minds were still directed to the minds and hearts of others in living solidarity with them. So we may have lost a lot, but we have also found and gained a lot of treasures in terms of priestly formation. So I hope and pray that more and more insights would come out with this collective discernment so that you too could help us be more abreast with the demands of priestly formation given the challenge brought about by this new normal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Andy. We will hear from him later as we have our question and answer forum. Maybe we would like to ask if you have questions. Once again, kindly direct it to me. You can send directly your question to my chat box. Our second speaker is Mary Ann Cruz. She is the present Program and Plans Officer of the CEAP, or the Catholic Educational Association of the Philippines. She also heads the Secretariat of the National Christian Formation Commission. So she's pretty involved in formation activities for campus ministry or school settings. But despite her busy schedule, she remains active in her home parish, the Lord of Divine Mercy Parish in Quezon City. She's also involved in the parish formation ministry, but also coordinates the planning ministry of the parish. So let's all welcome Miss Mary Ann Cruz.
Thank you, Joy. Hello, everyone. Special shout out to Stella and Father Degs, who I have worked with as co-members in the PCNE Exicom with Cardinal Tagle. By the way, Cardinal Tagle will be celebrating his birthday tomorrow, so let's say a prayer for him. So, what did I learn about formation in during this pandemic? Two words: borderless and no longer time bound. This is what I would describe formation these days during this pandemic. And this is actually what the pandemic has taught me. The rich resource that is available all over the world through cyberspace is limitless. As I have said earlier, and you might have read it in my short written answer, there are available webinars, recollections, masses, and religious activities online. And you can do it one synchronous, where you and the speaker are in the same platform and you do it in real time, or asynchronous, where it's pre-recorded and you can watch it anytime at your convenience, in fact. Such that the formation has become not only available, but it has become convenient. Because in the past, when I would schedule formation activities for my parish, sasabihin ng mga nanay, teka, maglalaba pa kami, teka, magluluto pa kami. So, hindi sila nakaka-attend ng mga recollection or some of the formation activities. But this time, because you can do it asynchronously, you can just play it pagtapos ka na maglaba, pagtapos ka na magluto, no? So the church continues to be present, ever present. Even at night, when you suddenly wake up gripped with anxiety, psychologists say that thing has become quite a normal these days, na magigising ka na lang and then you're worried. What I would do and what I know friends do is to open their social media account, and they would know that someone somewhere in another part of the world is having a webinar or is celebrating a mass, and you can actually join the rest of the faithful in community prayer or reflection. Also, actually, in effect naman, it's the person himself or herself who would know what she or he needs at this time. And actually, there's a plethora of um, materials that's available online, and one will definitely enlighten you. And it's so available as long as you have internet connection, which leads me to my next point. The real challenge actually is connectivity. In schools, as Joy already mentioned, I worked in the Catholic Educational Association of the Philippines. When we tried to craft what we call a school continuity plan, no, to adjust to the what they call the new normal, one of the inventories or surveys that we had to do as a prerequisite to crafting the instructional modules and deciding on the best way to deliver instruction was to ask for the students' capacity to tap into the internet and if they had the necessary tools. Did they have the tablets, the smartphones, or the laptops? No? Hence, in the end, we categorize the students into 1, full connectivity, 2, limited connectivity, and 3, no connectivity at all. I think the same categories applies to the lay faithful or to the faithful in general. Categories 1 and 2 would benefit from all these online and borderless resources. But what about the third category? Because, with face-to-face interactions, still limited during the post-quarantine scenario, this is going to be the new normal. Online formation activities, social media is maximized. On the one hand, that is good, no? Because the resources are limitless, and you can actually tailor fit this to the formation according to the needs of the sector. For example, children, your catechetical modules delivered by manangs, diba, will be all the more exciting if you include gamified catechetical instruction. No, you catechize through games. I remember in the CBCP Eche, there was a presentation on God's Spark. It's actually a gamified catechetical module, and it's more exciting that way. No, there is so much potential information now that we have the entire resources available online. No, also, formation activities per diocese can also be more organized because the diocese can just post a menu of all diocesan activities and formation activities. There could be one for the general faithful, for specific ministries, and for specific organizations even. And if you missed it, you can just play the video recording of the module at your most convenient time. I think I remember a few weeks ago, the Archdiocese of Manila, where the recollection of the clergy was opened even to the laity. No, hindi na sila na lang. No, it becomes a real communion. No, we really feel that we are one with the church. That there's no hierarchy anymore because so pinagsasama tayo, no, because the resources are available there, and hopefully even the CBCP can have its own menu of formation activities. This way, we feel that we are all connected to each other. And there are opportunities also where people with similar interests, even if they are not geographically belonging to one parish, no, you cross dioceses. Anyway, you have one platform, which is the internet. They can come together and pray and reflect together since cyberspace, as I said, is borderless. But in the end, I wish there was a way to reach out to those without connectivity. Actually, in the schools, we printed the learning modules. I don't know if that can be done in the parishes also, because if we do not find a way, then the already marginalized will be further marginalized in their formation, and therein lies the gap. Okay, so thank you and good morning.
Thank you very much, Marianne. We'll hear from her later once again. And for our last speaker, we have Father Renato de Guzman, or Father Degs for us. Father Degs is a Salesian, professor of catechetics, former parish priest, and he has been active in both catechetical and youth ministry in the national and international level. It is for this reason that he was invited twice to participate in the Synod in Rome, in the Synod of the New Evangelization, and in the of the Youth. He's now appointed as Deputy for Pastoral Animation for the Don Bosco Educational Center and Tibet Center of the Philippine Province of the Salesian. So let's all welcome Father Renato de Guzman.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. Mayan, thank you for the shout out. Dito lang tayo nakita sa webinar. Um, is it okay? Sounds is okay? I believe okay. Sige. So I will continue what Father Andy and Mayan shared with us. But this time focus on the catechetical ministry or faith formation. I will start first uh, with the concept of change. This pandemic crisis has brought all of us to the reality that we all have to change. Actually, Pope Francis already introduced um, this need to change the pastoral conversion in the church with this Evangelii Gaudium. But I believe this pandemic crisis really has forced us to enter into this position to have this conversion or pastoral conversion or change. Particularly now, I apply this in what you call this in catechesis. We have to look at catechesis, our faith formation, no longer very limited in our school, but more in the church. In fact, binabalik natin ang tunay na lugar ng catechesis sa simbahan. Kasi ang eskwela ay kumbagay tutulong lang siya sa parokya, sa simbahan. Pero sa Pilipinas, ang nangyayari sa atin, ang catechesis nasa eskwela, wala sa parokya. But now, the pandemic crisis is really forcing us to do catechesis and to stress catechesis in the parish community. So, the goal of catechesis still Jesus Christ. Sabi nga nila, sabi ng mga ibang mga ano ituturo natin ngayong pandemic crisis, ngayon online ng catechesis natin. Ang sagot ko lagi, simple lang, si Kristo. And in fact, this pandemic crisis invites us to be very simple in our faith formation and to be focused. Sinasabi nga sa buong mundo, keep the essential. Sa catechesis, sa faith formation, we keep the essential. And the essential is no other than Jesus Christ. Now, what we call this, if we focus on Jesus Christ, then we make our catechesis this time very biblical and charismatic. Again, we are what we call this, scripture paradigm ko dito sa pandemic crisis that we are like the householder na pumunta sa treasure box, sabi ni Jesus, and gets out all his treasures, old and new. So we are bringing out the old principles and putting applying these principles in this new normal. So number one principle is our catechesis is supposed to be biblical because it has to be centered on Christ. Kaya nga yung mga nasa BEC, sanay na kayo dyan. Kasi kami mga nasa eskwela, talaga magbabago kami. Imagine, ilang beses na akong naka ng webinar ng mga religion teachers, lagi tinatanong, ano ituturo? Doctrine, moral worship. Sabi ko, itabi niyo muna yung doctrine, moral worship. Si Kristo na ngayon ang ating ituturo. Pero ngayon, para mas simple si Kristo ituturo ngayon, sa ating sa faith formation pandemic crisis, we center on Christ in the Sunday gospel. Yun na yun. Yun na yung pinakasabi. Father, anong libro gagamitin natin? Wala na kayong libro. May magturo nga ng libro ngayon sa naka-online ka, pumunta na tayo sa gospel. Para simple lang siya. Now, focusing on our faith formation on Jesus Christ in the Sunday gospel leads us also to make our catechesis liturgical. And always remember, our catechesis is always connected with liturgy. Yung ancient axiom na lex credendi, lex orandi. Without catechesis, liturgy will end into hollow ritualism. Without liturgy, catechesis becomes intellectualized. Kaya kailangan magkasama sila. So, kung ang catechesis natin nakasentro kay Kristo, si Kristo sa salita ng Diyos na pinagdiriwang sa liturgy. Lalong-lalo na ngayon, ang liturgy natin, wala na sa simbahang malalaki, kundi nasa simbahan ng tahanan. And this brings me to the third feature of our catechesis, of our faith formation in this new normal. Our catechesis supposed to be center or focus on family catechesis. Nabanggit na yan kanina pa, I think sa previous, we focus on family catechesis, which is very different from the school catechesis. Kasi school catechesis is very systematic, orderly, sumusunod sa syllabus. Family catechesis is more experiential, occasional, witness, and example in the family. Kaya, mas spontaneous, mas continuing ang catechesis ngayon kung ifo-focus natin to sa bahay. So, let me repeat. Our faith formation, this new normal, could be guided by the principle of biblical catechesis, liturgical catechesis, and family catechesis. And our context is from school to home. So from an overly academic faith formation to an affective and effective faith formation done at home, in community, and in cyberspace. So, yan yung masasabi kong pagbabago na dapat nating harapin. In fact, I'm telling our religion teachers, online catechesis, online Christian living doesn't mean you bring the classroom in cyberspace. No, the formation in cyberspace has a complete, follows a different psychology of learning from the formation done in in the school or within the classroom. Finally, I'd just like to end with these three principles that should guide us in our ministry, in our faith formation, that can guide us in our faith formation and in our other ministries. Number one is keep the essential. Number two is be creative. And number three, make it engaging. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Father Diggs. No? And for our three speakers, thank you very much for sharing with us your thoughts and reflections, Father Andy, Father Diggs, and Mayan. We are honored to be graced by your presence. No, the words that you shared with us would really be leaving an imprint on us on how formation can be strengthened, or how it can be reshaped, or in fact, how we welcome new doors being opened to us for formation. So once again, thank you for the sharing of your insights. And so perhaps maybe our participants would have some questions. So I'm giving you back to Joy for some questions from the participants.
Maybe for our first question, we would like to ask all the speakers. No, most of them or all of them actually mentioned that majority of our people remain in the no connectivity level. So what are we going to do with formation for them? How can formation in the parish, in the catechetical setting, in the seminary, ensure or still ensure the active participation of the poor and the marginalized? So maybe all three of them could respond to this question. from their setting, in the parish, in the catechetical setting, and in the seminary. How can you or how can formation ensure the active participation of the poor and marginalized? Maybe we can ask anyone who would want to start to respond.
Yeah, can I answer, Joy?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Um, Perhaps in a way, no, there is already a structure that even before the pandemic would ensure that there is formation in the urban poor areas, no, where there is no connectivity, and that is the structure of the BEC. I
Mhm.
think hindi naman magbabago yung structure na yon sa ng BEC. Magko-continue pa rin yung kanilang sharing of the gospel of the word of God, gaya nga ng sabi ni Father Degs, in their own kapitbahayan, no? And maybe also pwede naman, like what we do in schools, as I said, may mga printed modules na pwede silang sundin. We can probably print some worksheets na parang i-cascade rin through the BEC pa rin. Kasi andyan na yung structure eh. Hindi naman natin let us build on what we already have. No, at least as far as the parish level is concerned. So, yun yung, that's my short answer.
Thank you, Mayan.
Joy?
Joy,
Yes, Father Dex.
Yeah. I'd just like to continue Mayan's sharing. Indeed, we have to use what we have, and very effectively, the BEC is really now, kumbaga, needed. No? Kung noon nagdidili-dali ang mga parokya sa BEC, ngayon nakikita nila kailangan talaga ang BEC structure. Because that's the only way that we connect with families and the big parish community. Ang midway dyan is the BEC. And this is especially for catechesis in the public school. May mga dioceses, mga katekisan iisipang makakabalik sa public school. Hindi na sila makakabalik sa public school kasi sa public school, ang iniisip ngayon, minimum essentials lang. So, dagdag yung catechesis sa curriculum ng public school. So, hindi yan pagbibigyan ng So, ang mangyayari diyan, hindi dapat huminto ang catechesis sa public school sa mga bata sa public school. Paano nila gagawin yan? Diyan sa BEC papasok ang makakatulong ang BEC sa catechesis sa mga bata. Kailangan nilang makipag-coordinate ang catechetical ministry sa BEC ng parokya o ng diocese. Tapos ang isa pang para sa sinasabi mong para sa mahihirap, balik tayo ngayon sa radyo. Kung may mga dioceses na mga radio station, that's the only way that they can communicate faith to the widest level at simplest level para sa lahat. Kasi ang computer, dun lang sa meron. Maraming wala. So pumunta tayo dun sa kung ano yung meron ng wala, which is the radio. So balik tayo sa radioketics, balik tayo sa teleketics. Mayroong teleketics naman, cable rin yun. So hindi lahat Tapos, yung pinag-uusapan sa radyo, idadali ngayon sa BEC, again, sinabi ni Mian, yung printed modules naman yan. So, babalik tayo dun sa mga traditional way of communicating faith while using the modern system din. So, gaya nga sa kanina nabanggit, talaga hindi naman tayo pinababayaan ng Diyos dito eh. Maraming paraan para ituloy natin ang paghuhubog sa pananampalataya. There are many ways to continue our faith formation.
Thank you very much, Father Dex.
Yeah, Joy, sure.
Father Andy, yes?
Yes, from the seminary, especially from the seminarians, we're really challenging them to respond to this need by way of providing tools, especially modules, to equip and empower primarily the families. Because the parents will be the main formators nowadays of young people. And so they need to be equipped, and they need to be empowered. So most of the seminarians were really coming up with modules, coming up with biblical reflections, that they can post through social media, or it could be printed and be given to the different households and the kapitbahayans and the BECs. So I think that's where seminarians could really be of help by equipping and empowering parents, BEC facilitators, and even parishes. No? So nowadays, for example, there are some seminarians who are coming up with modules for pre-sacramental formations that can be given to empower PECs, to empower even parents themselves, no? To prepare, for example, the first communicants because they cannot be done in the usual setting in the classroom and schools. So they need to be equipped and empowered. So that's where seminarians and the seminary could really be of help in the equipping and empowering of parents and BC facilitators and the parish catechists in order for them to respond in this new normal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Andy. Another question here is about the aspect of daily life. One thing that the pandemic has really made clear for us is that faith begins from the experience of daily life. No? Daily life struggles form us. So ang question natin, how immersed are our formation teams, catechists, seminary coordinators in daily life struggles? And how can they be able to use it in daily life? How can they use daily life as formation spaces? Now, how can it be the springboard through which faith formation can happen? So first is the question about how they are immersed, how much they are immersed in the daily life struggles of people. Sometimes this divide is very clear when we give formation in the parishes. We cannot really echo the daily life struggles of our people. But pandemic has placed us at the gap together. No? How can it come from there? And how could it be a jumping board in faith formation? Anyone could respond to this question.
Yeah, may I, Miss Andy?
Yes, Father.
Okay, that's really quite a challenge because
Hmm.
nowadays we're thinking of two setup in terms of seminary formation. One is that the seminaries we locked up inside the seminary, of course, for health and safety. But at the same time, we are creatively considering, for example, a parish and human formation for our seminaries, meaning they will not go back to the seclusion of the seminary, but
Wow.
rather the formation will be in their respective parishes and communities. So there are two things that I think in terms of the manner, so that they will continue to be in solidarity with everyone, especially those in the margins. First, the use of the pastoral spiral as a tool for ongoing reflection and discernment, or even ASIPA offers the life, word of life, and live that dynamics. So for them to constantly see and feel what's going on, and then reflect on what's going on in the life of faith, in the life of the scriptures, and eventually, hopefully, this will lead to a pastoral response that will be very much adaptive or really promotive of the needs of the communities. So the use of the pastoral spiral or any method of reflection and discernment. So this has to be a constant thing that they have to do so that they will be connected to their day-to-day experiences, but at the same time responsive to the needs of respective communities. So even in the seminary, they can also constantly engage in this pastoral reflection so that they will constantly be responsive in the way of praxis so that their hearts and minds will be constantly connected not just with what's going on in their lives but also with what's going on in the lives of the multitude. So I think that's the first thing, the use of this pastoral tool for reflections. And then secondly, I think that the process would be by way of accompaniment. We introduced this body system wherein a person would constantly be reflecting and sharing with somebody. So I think this can be done in a body system or in a PEC cell or structure. So more and more, when we communally discern, then we can collectively respond as well in the very fluid situation where we are in now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Andy. That's a very kapwa process, no? Accompanying each other. Anyone else from Father Dex and
Joy,
Mary Ann? Yes, Father Dex?
yeah, I'd like to follow up Father Andy's point. He mentioned the pastoral spiral. That's a very good method, no? The BECs are very expert on the use of this, the catechists in their experiential catechesis. However, this pandemic situation invites us, well, we have this tool, but it should begin with a change of our attitude towards the daily life. In other words, I would not say the daily life becomes a jumping board of our openness to the Word of God or to faith formation. It is the context of our faith formation. Hindi na tayo tatalon pa. Nandiyan na tayo, make use of whatever we experience and discover God and find God there. Kaya kaya yung jumping board ngayon in fact in catechesis, hindi na masyadong ginagamit experience as a jumping board, but instead experience is the context where God speaks to us as well, di ba? So and then it is affirmed, the voice of God in the experience, in our daily experience, daily life experience, will be affirmed by His very own Word of God, no? By the scriptures, and then live in the. So yung mentalidad na sa what I experience, God is here. Second, Father Andy mentioned accompaniment. Very, very relevant po ito. Today, even in the in educational sector, what we are asked to accompany the students. I attended one webinar given by the Open University, UP Open University by Dr. Balsinera, and she mentioned a factor that has to be considered in this online thing is the learners' support, because most of our many of our learners will feel isolated when they are doing online courses, because students have been accustomed to study together with their classmates, but in these online courses they are not physically present. And most of the time, if it's asynchronous, the activity is asynchronous, they are on their own. So they really help this experience of isolation. Precisely because of this experience, ministers are invited to do this accompanying the learner, our catechists, our faithful, especially now with the use of this technology, no. But certainly the word accompaniment, the experience of accompaniment is very, very vital in our ministry these days. Thank you.
Mary Ann, would you like to respond to it?
Napakayaman na nung sinabi ni Father Degs tsaka ni Father Andy na there's nothing really to add. Maybe except, ang ano lang natin, in literature, we have what we call the significant human experience, no? And that's where we draw. Yun ang pinaghuhugutan natin sa lahat. At siguro gusto ko lang din ibahagi yung sinabi sa amin ni Father Danny Pilario nung nag-aaral pa ako sa SBST. Parang sabi niya, kung mahal mo ang isang tao, gagawin mo ang lahat para alamin kung ano ang pangangailangan niya. And I think as ministers, yun ang call sa atin di ba? Na parang when we said that we will serve the church, we promise to serve our community. And kung hindi man natin alam ang sitwasyon nila, kailangan nating alamin. Para magawa natin yung sinabi ni Father Dex to accompany them, magawa natin yung sinabi ni Father Andy to immerse ourselves to them. Diba? Kasi yun, in the end, that is really the example of Christ. Diba? Sinabi nga ni Pope, you smell like your sheep. Diba? So, it's really that. If you do not know, then find out where they are so that you can meet them where they are. Yun lang.
Thank you very much, Mayan. Thank you very much, Father Diggs, and again, Father Andy. no, for shedding light somehow on the questions of our
Yes.
participants.
First of all, ay maraming salamat for this opportunity to be with all of you, discerning and collaborating bilang makakapwa para higit tayo makatugon sa panibagong hamon ng evangelisasyon. For me, again, we may have experienced certain loss and losing a lot of things, especially the usual, the ease of doing things, what has been the normal. We may be losing our safety and security, but we will also find a lot of treasure brought about by this pandemic. And I think what is important is that we continue to be led by the Spirit, because the Spirit will show us the way how we can respond to the needs of our faithful. So more prayer and discernment would be necessary, I believe. And of course, a reflection based on our own experiences and in connection with others. So being spirit-led through discernment, and then our own responsible formation for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities. And hopefully, more and more, we will equip and empower one another to be able to respond performatively and well to the demands of this new normal. So I hope and pray that everyone will be led by the Spirit so that we could also accompany one another as a church, as a people, to the fullness of life that God has wanted for all of us, despite the challenges of this pandemic. Once again, thank you so much, and may God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Father Andy, no, for your sharing your time with us. Thank you. Mayan?
Yeah. Um, Maybe just a short message, no? Ah, okay. Yeah, maybe just a short message. Ang tagal na ng simbahan eh. It has faced a lot of challenges. And the church has prevailed despite all the challenges it had to face in all the centuries. Wala pang internet noon, nandiyan na yung simbahan. So I am certain that the God who put us in this work of evangelization will see us through. So no pandemic can ever hinder us from actually doing our work for evangelization. So my message for all of you, padayon. That's all.
Thank you. Forward we go. Thank you very much, man. And Father Diggs?
Yeah. So thank you everyone for this beautiful experience. What I wrote in the chat box was this, no? I I would leave this as a session with a sense of hope, that hope that is found in each one of you who are present here and continuing to serve the church, and the hope that we have listened to one another, the words that we had, the experiences that we shared. And at the same time, we are challenged to be creative. God is our creator. He has implanted in us his image so that we too, like him, to be creative, especially in this pandemic situation. Stay safe and God bless us all.
Thank you, Father Diggs. No? Maraming salamat po. Again, an applause to our speakers and to everyone for participating in our second forum, Formation, Faith, and Life.